Hi, I'm Isabel Reedy, and I'm presenting my theology project on the Transcendentals on the Hamilton soundtrack through showing clips of the musical and what Transcendental I think it represents in the lessons. So, Hamilton represents truth in a lot of ways, by one, having their lyrics reference back to each other by connecting to events in real life history. For example, Hamilton has a lot of lyrics that reach down and have like a deep historical meaning and true context. Here are some of them.
We fought with him. Me, I died for him.
Me, I trusted him.
Me, I loved him.
And me, I'm the damn fool that shot him.
This shows true meaning in the fact that it reference is that both of those characters singing a line are true in both ways. For example, George Washington did command Hamilton, but the interesting part is where Daveed Diggs, who plays Jefferson in Lafayette, said we fought with him. Well, it also represents the guy who played James Madison and Hercules Mulligan. They both fought with him in the literal sense as like fought in the war with him, and they also fought with him in Congress a lot too on other commands in cabinet about how to establish in America due to Hamilton being a Republican and them being Democrats.
We'll bleed and fight for you. We'll make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll pass it on to you. We'll give the world to you and you'll blow us away.
This shows truth because in the fact of passing down a nation, they did pass it down to us. We're the new generation. But in that song was originally supposed to be about their kids. The lyrics "blown away" is actually a reference to the fact that both of their children did die by getting blown away. Philip Hamilton was shot by a gun during a duel fight, and Theodora Burr, the second, because his wife was Theodora Burr, got lost on a cruise ship with her husband and was never found again. The soundtrack of Hamilton is good because it teaches us lessons we can apply in our lives and forward. Here are some examples that I think we can talk about.
Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. History obliterates, and every picture it paints me and all my mistakes. When Alexander aimed at the sky, he may have been the first one to die, but I'm the one who paid for it. I survived, but I'm so sorry for forgetting what you taught me. My son, we played piano. You would put your hands on mine.
You changed the melody every time.
I would always change the line.
I know.
I would always change the line.
I know.
This teaches us a lesson that God taught us, which is thou shalt not kill. Personally, in the world back then, in the world and now, there's a lot of violence these days, and unfortunately a lot of that violence causes a lot of casualties. God called us to love each other before harming each other, and I feel that people as a human race tend to break this a lot. In both cases, the person didn't have to die. It was just a chose of violence and argument versus God's call to love. He put that on everybody's hearts, and sometimes we break it and look at the consequences. Death, hurt, and
Connection with one James Reynolds. For purposes of improper speculation, my real crime is an amorous connection with his wife for a considerable time with his knowing consent. Damn! I had frequent meetings with her. Most of them in my own house.
At his own house.
At his own house.
Mrs. Hamilton with our children being absent on a visit to her father.
No.
Have you read this? Am gonna be president.
this teaches us a lesson of not committing adultery. Okay, granted, most of the time adultery is not going to get you in trouble at your job unless you're doing it at your job, in which case then it will. But most of the time, if you're doing adultery, you probably won't risk being president, but it does ruin your reputation. Because if you can't even be faithful to your wife, who you love, or well, you should love since you married them, you are unitary, you are joined in one. That was the purpose of human. then how are you going to be loyal to anybody else? Your reputation's basically ruined. This also cements the fact that God tells us to treat our neighbor how we want to be treated, which I think can be applied to act as if you would like to be remembered. Because really it is all about who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Are you going to be portrayed positively or negatively? The reason why Hamilton is beautiful is because it shows a display of historical knowledge and lessons we learn in beautiful melodies, riffs, and tunes. And here are some collections of ones that I think are particularly great that leaves me with chills.
Who did this, Alexander? Did you know?
Mom, I'm so sorry for forgetting what you taught me.
My son, we played piano. I taught you piano.
You would put your hands on mine.
You changed the melody every time.
I would always change the line.
I know.
I would always change the line.
I know. I'm erasing myself from the narrative. Let future historians wonder how Eliza reacted when you broke her heart. You have torn it all apart, I'm watching it burn.
After a week of fighting, a young man in a red coat stands on a parapet.
We lower our guns as he frantically waves their white handkerchief.
And just like that, it's over. We tend to our wounded, we count our dead.
Black and white soldiers wonder alike if this really means freedom.
Not yet. We negotiate the terms of surrender. I see George Washington smile. We escort the men out of Yorktown. They stagger home single file. Tens of thousands of people flood the streets. There are screams and church bells ringing. And as our fallen foes retreat, I hear the drinking song they're singing. Let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was young and dreamed of glory. You have no control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
Those songs always make my hair stand up at the top, at the end of them, and at those parts, because it really, you can hear the emotion in the actors' voices, you can hear the historical accuracy, you can hear the lessons, you can see the impact even now. It's just so beautiful. It's breathtaking, and I know it's a little weird to say a musical is so beautiful, but this one, like, really is. It truly hits my heart in the best way, and there's a reason why this instantly became a bestseller. Thank you for watching my presentation.